EUSALP is an agreement signed in 2013 by the countries of the European Union: Italy, France, Germany, Austria, Slovenia, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. The strategy aims to promote a territorial management that favors sustainable mobility, the enchantment of services, transport and infrastructure for its communication, and cooperation between mountain areas and urban areas. How I Met My Future Job is the title of the 4th EUSALP Action Group 3 Forum organized by the Autonomous Province of Trento. The forum goal was to present to young people successful entrepreneurship stories in mountain areas, creating new job opportunities and releasing the creative instinct. The event, structured in a double appointment, was conducted by Hannes Götz and Luca Dapra from Basis. The morning session featured the testimony of the CEO of Aquafil, Giulio Bonazzi, and Rock Gardner, a young Slovenian entrepreneur. The afternoon session saw the intervention of the writer Grammenos Mastroieni and the futurologist Roberto Poli, concluding with the president of the FBK Foundation, Francesco Profumo. Local Minister Mirko Bisesti opened the 4th edition of the forum, reiterating the importance of young people and their growth for the development of Trentino.
Il nostro territorio su questo può puntare, dare occasione, e quella di oggi, di questo forum, è l'occasione per mettere in rete, per far sì che ci sia confronto, critiche a quelli che sono anche i modelli di sviluppo e soprattutto legati alle nuove tecnologie che possiamo mettere in atto.
Local Minister Achille Spinelli discussed about new kinds of work, green jobs and digital jobs.
È importante la formazione dei talenti e del capitale umano nei nostri territori e quindi è importante svilupparlo e creare le giuste condizioni per trovare un lavoro nelle nostre terre che hanno una conformazione più difficile, più dura, con un sistema più complesso di relazioni, ma senz'altro dove è possibile riuscire a trovare un lavoro soddisfacente che possa sviluppare le proprie capacità.
EUSALP acronym of EU Macro-Regional Strategy for the Alpine region is a strategy that involves 7 states, 46 regions, and 2 autonomous provinces, for a total of 8 million inhabitants. The vision of EUSALP is to translate sectoral policies on a regional scale, enabling the best ideas to happen in a sensitive, natural, and multicultural Alpine area. The focus of EUSALP are economic growth and innovation, mobility and connectivity, environment and energy, governance and institutional capacity. In the morning session, the testimony of the CEO of Aquafil has addressed issues such as circular economy, sustainability, and reconversion of its production, using waste and scrap to obtain a new product, the Econil.
It's a nylon yarn or polymer, but with a very different story. It comes entirely from waste. It can be recycled through the Econil regeneration system an infinite number of times and gives endless possibilities. Why infinite? Because we go back to the original building blocks. And at this point, when, for example, I make this jacket with waste coming, I don't know, from the oceans, like fishing nets, you can back this and I can make this chair or this one. And when you are tired with this product, instead of dumping into landfill, I can make a carpet or a beautiful pair of shoes or a backpack or, for example, sunglasses.
What is Aquafil?
Aquafil is a company producing synthetic fibers and polymers, mainly of polyamide 6, and is having around 3,000 employees in 16 manufacturing operations in 3 different continents, 8 countries. In 2019, we had a turnover exceeding 550 million euros, together with 65 million EBITDA margin. Clearly this year, because of the pandemic, we have also been hit by the problem, but nevertheless we are here working hard.
Then the Slovenian entrepreneur Gardner intervened, inventing and patenting specific machinery to be used in the mountains, modernizing the family business. He presented a new way of working in the Alps with his project Smart Factories.
Prihajam z gorske kmetije z imenom Prlovriž. Ukvarjamo se z proizvodnjo gorske kmetijske mehanizacije. Je družinsko podjetje. Na kmetiji sta starša ter starš ter 6 otrok. Vsi mi pomagajo pri vodenju pa proizvodnji podjetja. Smo znani po celi Evropi. Naš glavni produkt so pa gorski pobiralni izrabljalniki Aquafil, ki smo tudi, ta stroj tudi patentiran in sva na svetu 2, ki sva lastnika tega patenta. Druga zgodba, jaz, ko sem bil že kot otrok, sem zmer staršem govoril, da ne bom hodil na šiht, ampak da bom naredil svoje podjetje, zato da je vedno nobeden po glav skakal. Potem sem pa šel na srednjo šolo za strojništvo v Škofjo Loko, pa smo začeli sami doma razvijati. Prvi je bil projekt Gorski traktor, ki je bil razvit, ampak nismo imeli dosti finančnega zalogaja, da ga bi izdelali in se je potem ta projekt opustil. Zdaj smo šli pa pač par korakov nazaj in smo naredili Aquafil, landflow, pa tračni obračalniki, pa še so brutalni stroji v razvoju letos. Ja, trenutno imamo brutalne projekte. Razvili smo gorski hidrostatični menjalnik, prvi na svetu, ki bomo ogrevali lastni menjalnik v lastne gorske kosilnice. Širimo se na ravninski del proizvodne, se pravi landflow, 9 metrov delovne širine. V razvoju so nove pobiralni sistemi, pa seveda z letom 2022 gremo v razvoj električnih kosilnic.
In the afternoon, the debate focused on how to shape the future amid the challenges of the climate change and the population of mountain lands. In the opening, the writer Mastroianni, making understand the importance of human behavior and its presence in mountain territories, and how environmental changes affect the history of man himself, presented the Gaia's matrix.
So, you understand that we have to start a little bit far away from the foundations of a new understanding that we have of the world that we live in. We finally realized the deep sense of the 2030 agenda of the SDGs, that everything is linked with everything. Not only geographically, that is, that something that might happen in a very far away country can have repercussions there where we live, but also systemically. Understanding one thing, that this global balance, which is useful to us, is the result of the interactions among sub-balances, which could be local sub-balances or sectorial sub-balances. How we can do that? We can try to imagine a matrix in which there is a case for every sub-balance which is important for the global balance. And we can imagine that matrix at various levels of complexity. For instance, we could imagine a matrix in which there is a case for the Pinatubo volcano in Asia that erupts, which is connected with a case concerning agricultural productivity in Southeast Asia, which falls down, connected with a case concerning the indexes in Wall Street and the trends in Wall Street that fall, connected with a case that concerns my aunt Josephine, who had invested everything in Wall Street, loses everything and commits suicide. But unfortunately, we do not have such a computational power, and we don't understand all these interlinkages at this level. So we have to use a much simpler matrix, which is the one I'm presenting to you on the screen. One that connects dynamically 4 sectors, which are also 4 values: environment, development, human rights, and peace.
In his speech, futurologist Roberto Poli described the future dynamics, underlying UNESCO's idea of spreading futures literacy as 21st century literacy and recommending to young people the exercise of strategic foresight, i.e. think, plan, and implement policies.
The table you are seeing, this concerns Italy and it concerns the aging of population. It means that in 30 years, slightly more than one generation, one person over 7 will be over 80 years old. This is a case of a truly geriatric society. The second component, which is the really difficult one, it is the acceleration of changes that marks our period, our historical period. What can be done? UNESCO organized a great event dedicated to the idea of futures literacy. The basic idea is that the acceleration of changes requires a new kind of literacy. Futures literacy in schools, in the public administrations, within categories, in communities. I mean, giving everybody the tools for thinking and using the future, thinking about the future and learning how to use the future. What does it mean, using the future? We have to learn how to use the future in order to better understand what we can do. But I would like to call your attention on two institutional facts. She decided to appoint for the first time in the history of the European Commission a vice president to strategic foresight. Is the wider context in which futures literacy is inserted. Use existing tools such as strategic foresight, scenario development, and system thinking in the formulation and implementation of policies. The tools are there to develop an attitude of care with the environment in which we live.
The conclusion was entrusted to President Profumo, who reiterated the concept of young people being in the middle of digital transition and more interested in the quality of life.
It's a time for the change. In reality, the young people are pretty ready for the change, in the sense that they have less backlog that we have. Then I'm quite optimistic from the young people point of view. I'm much more pessimistic from the people that are running right now this country and some other countries. But I'm sure that there is an interesting mood for the young people. For sure, they have a much more respect to the environment. They are more active from the digital transitions. They are much more interesting in the quality of life. Then we have some good reason to be optimistic for the future.
He continued by discussing the issue of gender, looking for a solution to the problem.
Our society seems not mature enough just to get women in the top of entrepreneurs in the enterprise. I have the feeling that in order to change the situation, we needed to start from schools. And also, if you look at the schools, the number of girls in the STEAM sector is quite low still, in the sense that more of the students, they are looking for studies in humanities more than in science and technology, engineering. And maybe we needed just to push more in this direction.